Welcome gamers to this week's episode of Last Call Gaming, and on today's episode we're going to talk about the multiplayer reveal for Call of Duty Modern Warfare that just came out, showing off new modes, new gameplay, as well as the dates for the open betas that are coming literally right around the corner. Also guys, the console wars of this gen is coming to a close and we do have a winner sitting on top, so let's talk about who that is and who came close to it. But more importantly guys, we are giving away a Nintendo Switch LITE. So make sure you guys stick to the end of this episode so you can find out how you can enter it, how you can win it, how you can look at past episodes and gain entries for those. So there's all that and more, guys. So if you want to hang out, grab yourself a beer. Whew, and let's talk games. Welcome gamers to this week's episode of Last Call Gaming. We are on episode 15. Joining me as always is the man that keeps time better than everybody I know, Andrew Montemayor. My name is Craig Perales. Andrew, how you doing today?
I'll say if that's the case, I'm late to like everything.
You're always late to the ball, Cinderella, but surprisingly when we do this, you're very punctual. So
I don't want to turn into a pumpkin.
I never want you to be a pumpkin. You're just my little pumpkin.
Thank you.
So Andrew, we're here to talk about a couple of things today, and the big one is the Call of Duty multiplayer reveal that came out today. This came out and showed some new maps, showed some new game modes, showed some new creativity that they were doing with customization. So let's start with the customization. So in this game, you're able to really kind of focus on the gun building, right? They call it the gunsmith mode.
Yeah, there's no more...
walk me through a little bit about that.
Yeah, no more pick 10, which is what they've always done, where you can, not have a knife, not have a secondary gun, and just have your main and, have everything and your mom attached to the gun. So now you can really get kind of down to like the brass tacks on it. You can do down to the muzzle attachment, they said like the little grip barrel, on the side, scope, the barrel, the stock, everything on it. And the way that it even works too is so some of the guns, like let's say there's an AK-47, you take off the stock on that, now it's an AK-74U, and that will change like the stats versus having a AK-47 and AK-74U in like the weapon selectables. You can kind of build your own gun, and they were even saying that you can modify the gun even more and make it fire more like an LMG with some of the attachments, maybe like a bipod or some of the things. They didn't show everything on there, but that's kind of like what they were hinting at.
Yeah, and the cool thing is because they're using some of the old guns, so anybody that's familiar with the original, Modern Warfare is going to recognize some of this, and they're using current guns that are, being used by the military, which is one of the big things they said they were kind of proud of. They want to make sure that they're being faithful to what's being actively used.
Yeah, that's one of their big things that they've been going on and on about, is they want to be real and gritty for this Call of Duty.
So it's cool though, because I think you were saying that it's they have a limited number of guns, but with the the customized building, you can build your own gun essentially. That's not even in that's not stock essentially. And just looking at that when I was watching it, that just seems really open. And when we were watching a lot of these guys play games earlier, a lot of them were just saying this is going to be the hard part. The hard part's finding out how you mix your gun. It's always hard to learn a map, learn spawns, learn the lanes, and do all that. But now you've got gun customization that means something. So
right.
What do you think about that?
I agree with them, and I thought that was kind of a cool comment, really to think about. It's because a lot of times too, in any game when I'm playing, like PUBG for example, I see someone using a vector. I'm like, okay, I know not to get close to that guy because he's gonna fucking melt me like butter. Now just because I see someone kill somebody with a weapon, I have no clue how it's firing. Exactly. Is it slow? Is it fast? Does it have the rapid fire? Does he have the extended mag on there to where he's just blowing rounds out there with an LMG? Or is it the standard? I have no clue how that's going to work. And so that's kind of I feel like it's a really cool way to keep that variety up, keep it fresh. Because I'm the kind of person that even if a lot of the weapons do the same, if you give me the illusion of choice, that's what keeps me always trying new things. Even if it's just the tiniest difference. Like Battlefield 4 had weapons galore, and some of them just looked different and had the tiniest little different stat on it.
Yeah.
But I loved it because maybe this gun's better, and I'm doing really good with this one, so it's way better than the other one. But it really fires 10 more bullets a second or something like that.
So because it's really cool because what they do is in terms of when you're adding attachments is every past Call of Duty would show you what you gain or lose, but they really kind of imprint like the pros and cons. Every little change you do will highlight what it is, and they were saying that it's 30 to 60 attachments per
weapon,
gun,
yeah.
and on the low end is the pistol because
you can only do so much. To a pistol,
you can't put an ACOG scope on a pistol, right? It doesn't make sense. And the other thing that I kind of liked,
that's something you used to be able to do on the old one. You could do akimbos and I think put like 4 scopes on it, but I think they said you can't even do like akimbo like magnums anymore because it's not realistic.
Okay, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, because they're being very particular and they want to be grounded and realistic. So yeah,
they're trying not to make it as over the top. I don't think you're going to see like someone in a clown suit running through the field or something like that. Like, some crazy skin.
Oh, we got the It 2 trailer all over again. But the cool thing I liked is some of the guns that lack the the broader attachments is they get perks, like passive perks on the gun. So instead of adding an attachment for like let's say a gun that you don't want to put a scope, you can put like sleight of hand on it or something like that, and that would count as an attachment. I thought that was a really cool idea. So, but talking about bringing perks into the guns themselves. Perks are now coming back, like in full effect. Like this is revolving around getting a kill streak again.
Yeah, they said it's just a lot more grounded. So your class, what you're building, and that was kind of the thing that I was noticing too, which was really cool, was a lot of the like pro players that are all like running gun, the big YouTubers and stuff, were having a hard time choosing what to cut. Right. Whereas before, in any Call of Duty, it's like, okay, give me this, and the rest of it's just garbage.
Right. So we were looking at it and. Because we were watching a lot of the guys play, and it was kind of fun to watch, pro players play against pro players and see who could get a big kill streak on. But I don't know if you want to bring this up in a riff later. Anything with the kill streaks you want to talk about now or later?
Oh, are you talking about the white phosphorus thing or
whatever?
Something
you want to bring up now? I feel like it makes sense to kind of talk about it now.
Kill streaks are same old, kill streaks. I think the ending one is like Juggernaut, 3 kills for UAV, standard Call of Duty stuff, and it's not
standard. War stuff. I mean, you got the helicopter mow down. You've got nukes that come down.
Even so, it's all kill based now too. Like 3 kills, 4 kills, 17 kills. Whereas the past iterations of Call of Duty, past couple, I think, have been it's points that you get that can lead up to that. So even if you get 3 kills, that might not equal 350 points. So you're not getting whatever your thing is. So the big thing, though, is a lot of people are complaining that you can use like white phosphorus now and there as a weapon, which they haven't said really. They've kind of said what it is. It's a white gas. It's hard to see through. If you're too close to it, it'll burn you like white phosphorus, that massacres people in real life.
Right.
But a lot of people have the issue like that this is where you draw the line in this game, where in other ones you use things like mustard gas and...
So, because Andrew kind of pointed out to me before I started digging into doing notes and stuff like this, is that white phosphorus is the thing that's having a lot of, like, pushback. They're saying, a lot of, like, vets are kind of looking... And no disrespect if you are one of those people that are finding this offensive, but I guess my look out on it is there's the last game you could drop a nuke. So, that literally fucked up a whole country, and then white phosphorus, it fucks up other people, but if we're taking the game for what the game is... I don't see how one thing's better. They're all bad, but it's a game. So why would you pull one thing versus the other? There's things where you can get on a helicopter and just mow people the fuck down, and you can go on YouTube and watch real life videos of that happening. So I don't see where you draw the line on something that involves war.
Yeah, I just hate the words some people use for it, like a killing simulator, or that this is glorifying war and that you're making it okay. And I personally, for me, I don't have that perspective. Like, I might use this in a game, but I personally wouldn't watch TV and be like, oh, they're using white phosphorus? That's cool. Or that's normal now because I see it in a game all the time. Yeah. It's like, how many tactical nukes have I fucking seen in a game, and when's the last time, one was dropped?
Yeah, so we'll move a little past that, but I thought it was a good time to mention it just because we're on the kill streaks, and that's kind of a hot
little midstream riff,
But the other big thing that... they're on a new engine, and the engine looks fucking fantastic.
I think it looks a lot better. The other one kind of looked like a little more like wet and slippery, almost kind of like a frog skin.
You can always
see
that kind of like that slickness on it. But they haven't given the name, at least that I haven't seen the name. There's no new name for the engine. I know what they're using though. They're using the photogrammetry, which is essentially them capturing real life photos and mixing and matching them down, and then putting them into the game, so that we can get that realistic view that we see. And we were watching it almost last couple hours, and it looks fantastic.
Yeah,
the game looks great.
Yeah, I think the game, like, not just gameplay wise looks good. I'm actually interested in this Call of Duty and want to jump back in and actually play it. But graphically, I think it looks a lot better, especially than the past couple that were just kind of
right, kind of hit or miss. And because I essentially skipped the whole last Call of Duty, but we're gonna move along. And the big thing that kind of caught my eye and I liked was they're doing the pre-order, which is the Dark Edition, which comes with
night vision goggles.
The Steelbook game, which any Steelbook looks good in anybody's collection. But yeah, the full-on usable night vision goggles. And are we on two different minds? Are you not impressed by it?
I want to say that they've done that before for like a Black Ops version.
Yeah, they kind of went over that. And one of the things now they're saying is like where tech is now versus when they tried launching it then is like, miles different. And they're like, dude, all like the two, I forget the cat's name, but they're playing with them. And dude, they're like, dude, these are badass. Like we're taking these, and for because the pre-order is $199, which comes with the Steelbook, the goggles. It's a 3-man pack of I don't know if it's character classes or skins. It comes with a knife and it comes with a calling card that you can add on your thing. So for $199, essentially, I'm looking at it is for night vision goggles, and I think it looks fucking sick. But I don't know if Andrew
it's whatever. In what real world scenario? When am I going to use those?
That's exactly the point. You don't know when you're ever going to need night vision goggles. Like how sick would it be to you're sitting outside drinking a beer on the roof and you can just pop on some night vision goggles and just kind of look around.
I mean, I guess if I want to reenact like Silence of the Lambs, like the final 5 minutes, and
don't look for the hate and everything that's good in your life.
Someone has to.
Someone's got to. So let's go into the modes, Andrew, because this is kind of what they showed off. What are the full-on player spec that we're looking at for the modes?
Well, they didn't announce like the game modes that would entail some of them,
or at least the player.
Yeah, like 1 or 2 there is. Like Ground War is 20 versus 20. So
that's insane.
Yeah, so they have the smaller. There's still the 2v2s, the 3v3s, 6v6s, 10v10s, 20 versus 20s. They've even said that there's going to be a 32 versus 32, and that there's even going to be another game mode that has over 100 player. But they didn't say specifically that it's a battle royale, and they're kind of hinting that it's not going to be a battle royale.
So as of right now, what we're confirmed is the highest 2020, right?
The highest that anyone I think has seen any footage of actually being played is 20 versus 20.
And the one, because I would say that's what we were looking at, and it was running nice. I mean, there was nothing.
Yeah, no, it was running great. The maps look big. If anything, I feel like, especially if EA sees something like this, that they should probably be a little bit worried, because this is more into their territory, because they've always been known to have these 16-on-16s, the 32-on-32s, the big levels with the tanks and with this and with that, and with how poorly I'm sure Battlefield 5 did. This game could just come in and be... Call of Duty's always been that big knockout game, that game that they've always tried to catch up, and this isn't going to make it any easier.
Yeah, this is the game that set the trend for how games like this should sell, is Call of Duty. And back in the day, the original one was Modern Warfare, and now we have this new one coming out, and it looks awesome. And one of the cool things that they were doing is they kind of said that there was going to be... They were tired of people running into like DLC issues, to where one person has a map pack and this, and the other person has a map pack and this. And they were saying it was kind of dividing the community, which they don't want to do anymore. So the cool thing I thought they announced was...
free DLC.
All the DLC, the season pass, like, which, what we're kind of familiar with calling them, is all free to anybody. So every map pack that comes out is all going to be...
That's kind of what everyone's been doing lately. Even like Battlefield 5 did that before.
But Call of Duty hasn't done it, right? So this is their first...
Well, I think the last one they put out some free maps, but like
some free maps. But
I think like the Zombies DLC is the only thing you really pay for.
Yeah, we're talking about their entire collection being completely free. So it's...
No, that's cool. That's great.
Well, it's just, there's no point on, when you beat it or you're done with it, there's no point on trading it right back in, because you're going to be getting more stuff throughout. Because this... I don't see it being just the game they support for a year. This is going to be a good Call of Duty... From what we've been seeing and how the reviews have been, it looks like it's going to be around for a minute.
I think that is one of my favorite things, is that it's finally kind of being like that. Because I did used to play Call of Duty all the time, and I always was that person to where I'm playing with other people. I'm like, oh, come on, man, dude, you don't have the map pack. Like, I can just talk shit to them, because now I can't play whatever the newest thing is. That I'm like, oh, sorry, dude, you can't play with us. You don't have the map pack.
And it sucks when you're the guy that doesn't have it, right? Because now, instead of being the guy that's telling someone you can't play with it, when you're the guy that's like, can't play with you, you're like, okay, well, I guess we'll go back to...
Yeah,
you know,
like not trying to be a dick, but I mean,
riffraff.
like, you know, we're trying to play this like new stuff, and there's nothing I can do for you.
So one of the other things, and I don't know if it's a particular mode, and I think it was don't they, it's a dark vision gameplay mode, right? Isn't it a mode where you can play? Everyone has night vision goggles.
Yeah, there's because there's like night maps
yeah,
too.
it's a night map, and you can move around this thing, and they. So I mean, obviously, when you're looking at night vision, you have your scope, but as another player, you can see somebody else's line of vision now. You know, now that it's focused on that, so that looked really cool too. Are you looking forward to any night time matches?
Yeah, no, I love nighttime maps, if anything, too, because you take a map and make it a lot harder to see, or maybe switch up a thing here or two there, and you know, you go from an 8 map count to a 60 map count, because now playing it at night's like a completely different variable, completely different element. Not to mention that it's going to be harder for anyone now, because another big thing that they did that I forgot to mention earlier is actually remove the mini map.
Oh
so
yeah,
unless
yeah,
you have,
and
that's always
see it.
That's always been a staple of COD, and like even like some of the other Battlefields like 4 and stuff, is just when everyone's shooting, you can see the little red blips all over the screen. That's not there anymore unless you have a UAV. So that's the only way you're gonna have that mini map on there.
Actually,
and so it keeps people more focused on the game, what's going on up here. Because I used to do that all the time. I be running around just looking for little red blips on the map, and then just cut a line. And
well, yeah, because it's been stapled in so many games like a Halo and Call of Duty. You know, you're almost used to just bottom right corner or whatever you're
looking for this map. Yeah,
and I like the idea where this game now gives you so much more to work with. That now it's kind of more just say, take that out to the field and then use your skill and see what you can do. And I really like that concept, and I'm glad you brought it up, because when we were watching it, I almost didn't even recognize. I was too busy focused on that, and he's like, hey, did you notice there's no mini map? And I was like, huh. I guess there isn't.
Yeah, it's something you wouldn't notice, I don't think, until you start to play the game, which you may be able to play it soon.
Very soon, because we have open betas that are coming out, guys. And Sony strikes again, because what's happening is that if you pre-order the game, right? So you need to pre-order the game. If you get it on the PS4, you can start playing a beta that's on September 12th and September 13th. Now, if you have a PS4 and you did not pre-order the game, the open beta is on the 14th through the 16th. So pre-order, you get it a couple days early. Or the open beta PS4 runs a couple days later. Now, if you're running on the PC, the Xbox One, and also the PS4, because I'll have access to this as well, the pre-order dates for those run between September 19th and September 20th. And then the open beta, if you have an Xbox One or a PC, starts on September 21st through the 23rd. Now, Andrew, that is literally right around the corner, and those are some generous amount of days. I mean, if you're a pre-order PlayStation fan, you've got, almost a solid week or so of time to start playing this game and get very familiar with maps, layouts, guns, builds.
And as an Xbox user, you should worry about that, because this game is now cross-platform.
Exactly, yeah. So it's going to be PC, and then what was the PC, PS4, Xbox One, but the stipulation
that you can put in there, well, I think it's in there automatically, is you can not play with someone who's using a mouse and keyboard.
Right, okay. So
which is good, because I don't want to get my shit pushed in. And they even said that they've gone through routes to make sure that you can't join a match with a controller plugged in. You unplug it midway as soon as the match starts loading and try to get your mouse and keyboard, just so you can start hammering out everybody who's using. Because it's common knowledge, the mouse and keyboard is way more accurate than, controls will ever be.
Yeah, it is a superior thing, and that's why PC players stick to PC generally versus a console. But
that's good, though. It'll make a bigger, larger pool. Yeah.
The main thing we've always wanted as gamers is the cross pollination between multiple systems to play with each other. So that is coming with this game, and looking forward to it. Now, Andrew, have you pre-ordered yours?
Yeah,
you did. Okay, a GameStop.
Yeah.
Nice. I was actually looking at mine, because you're getting the physical. Unless I jump the gun and go for those fucking night vision goggles, then I'd probably pre-order mine on digital. But we're definitely going to get it, because we want to do the beta, and we're going to play that. And I'm sure we'll talk about that in September when it comes around. So.
Yeah, for sure. Is there
anything else you want to jump on Call of Duty, or should we...
I think my final thought would be that I'm disappointed they didn't name the game Modern Warfare for the fourth one. Entry. So,
dude, your four jokes are just landing on every other game we talk about.
I just want someone to do it.
So guys, let's move into the next big topic. And so obviously, we're going to be talking about the winner of essentially the console wars. But before we get into numbers and sales, just a brief background on what exactly a console war is, because we know people, and I'm sure maybe a couple of you guys watching, are people that started on maybe the original Xbox or the Xbox 360, right? You're not familiar with the old school, 64 or Nintendo versus Sega. So this is the actual 8th generation of console wars, right? It's kind of weird to think about. It's the 8th. So this generation actually is from November 18th, 2012, which started off with the Wii U. PS4 in its original model was released in November 15th, 2013. Xbox One was released November 22nd, 2013. And the latest entry into the game was the Nintendo Switch at March 3rd, 2017. Now, Andrew, before we jump into numbers, like I said, I mean, we lived this. I mean, how do you like seeing that? I mean, think about that number. 2012 to 2019 is when this last gen has been in full function, right?
I think the generation before was not too much longer. It was like another... Well, I guess if you go to 2012 to 17, that's 7 years now. Next consoles won't be out for another year, so add 8. I want to say that was about the length of the 360s, was like 8 years maybe.
I know, but isn't it weird to just think that the Wii U... Because that's the one thing I wanted to write off. Like the Wii U kick off the next gen of consoles.
I see some people debating that the Switch is like a 9th gen console because the Wii U did take the slot for the 8th gen console. But I don't know how that works.
Exactly. I don't know who makes the laws of who breaks down what into what. But because I could see the Switch essentially starting the next gen, I guess. Or I can see they just launched 2 consoles in 6 years. I mean, that's not unheard of. It's just kind of odd and rare.
Yeah, I think it's just, maybe most people just disregard it because the Wii U just didn't perform at all. Even though it had some great games, like it just, the numbers weren't there at all.
Yeah, so the numbers we're here to talk about, guys, is actually who came in on top, because 2020 is good. Late 2020 is going to be when the next 9th gen officially kicks off. So IGN did an awesome list of the top 15 best-selling consoles of all time, and Andrew, before we get to that, how do you feel? Do Game Boys and handhelds and Vitas and PSPs?
I just wouldn't count cell phones, but I would count the rest of those. Yeah,
as consoles in top 15 selling of all time. Okay,
yeah, why not?
I was just curious. I mean, they're there. I don't feel one way about them or not. I was just curious how you felt. So the top 15 selling games of all time or consoles is at number 15 is the Switch, and the Switch has sold so far 36.87 million units in just over 2 years. 2 years and some months. It just beat out, so that position used to be held by the N64, and it only has one version out, right? There's only one version of the Switch. There's no beefed up model.
So far that Switch Lite's coming though.
Yeah, pretty soon you guys can win. Hang in there. And it sold, some fun facts is that it sold 210 million pieces of software, and 17.89 million units have been Mario Kart 8.
So people love the Switch, man.
I was like, before we get any further than that, how impressive is it that this new console in 2 years and some change has sold almost 40 million units?
I'll tell you what's even more staggering is that the last time Xbox even put out numbers, when they stopped announcing numbers because they were losing so bad,
2015
was at the 30 million mark.
Oh, was it?
4 years ago. Yeah, about 30 to 35 million. They're over that. I mean, some people estimate they're like in the 60s. Other people say it's closer to like 47 million. So either way, a console that launched, less than 2 years ago is already almost a lifetime to date of a console that was just marred by a bad fucking launch program.
Yeah, kudos to Switch. I have a Switch. Andrew promises to get a Switch. Cien, you're out there. You have a Switch. It's a great system, and I think it deserves all the merits that it's gotten so far. I think the Switch, or I think Nintendo has kind of been looked at as this underdog, and I think it's safe to say, looking at these numbers that it's done in 2 years of 36 million units, is nothing to sniff at. I mean, the Nintendo is making its comeback, and it's doing very well, and this list kind of proves it, because it was 15. The number 14 on the list that IGN has provided is the Xbox One. So literally just the system above it is the Xbox One, and like Andrew was saying, they stopped doing their sales reports in 2015, so it's tough to gauge an accurate number, but the folks at IGN have sources that they've kind of looked at it where the Xbox family has landed at 41 million. So that is a mere 8 to 9 million more than what this Switch has done in 2 years versus its 6 to 7 year lifespan.
I looked at something not too long ago. I forgot who it was. I think EA put out a report that accidentally kind of didn't outright say how many consoles the Xbox had, but it was higher than that. I think it was like in the like 50s, like almost like 60. But it's just crazy to think though that's the gap you leave your audience with is if you're gonna lose, just take it on the chin. But 30 to 60 million units is what we're going to leave you guesstimating as.
Yeah, or if you know that that's what people are saying your numbers are and you've stopped, I mean, why not just release one more report? Guys, it's closer to 60, 70 than 40 because, I mean, the Switch is going to pass this. I mean, there's no doubt in my mind. The Switch is going to pass in its longevity of its lifetime is going to pass the Xbox One.
For sure. I mean, both those consoles, though, they're fighting for second place is what they're doing.
Yeah. So, but is this not interesting, though, that and we'll get into the winner, obviously, but the Xbox One is sitting on 3 different SKUs, right? It has, the day one big brick Xbox One. It's got the Xbox S. It's got the Xbox One X.
Yeah.
So do you think it's fair, and I think it's a fair question, is do all 3 of those count as selling an Xbox One when the Nintendo Switch is literally by itself putting up numbers the same way?
I don't see why not. Especially if you can count the Wii U within the 8th generation and the Switch as the 8th generation. Especially because I think, I'm pretty sure PlayStation counts pros.
No, that's what I'm saying. We'll get into that, but should they?
Yeah.
Does the Switch not stand alone against the Xbox? That stands alone against the Xbox One S, not stand alone against the Xbox One X?
Yeah, because now the Switch has been out there long enough to where they could put out something like a Switch LITE in order for those people not to feel, oh man, I'm spurned. I just bought this a year ago. Now there's already another slimmer, cheaper console than whatever.
Yeah, I'm just curious because one of the things that when I'm reading it, they count the Xbox family, and then when you go into Sony's, they count their all generations. So just a question. I don't feel one way about it or the other. I think it's accurate to put all the SKUs together. But a fun fact is that their best-selling games on the Xbox One have been Red Dead Redemption 2, Grand Theft Auto 5, and Metal Gear Solid 5.
All multi-platform games.
Right, nothing exclusive on that. So, and this is the topic of the day, guys. The winner, by far so far, of the 8th generation console war is the Sony PlayStation 4, because on June 30th, they just crossed their 100 millionth unit. I mean, think about what we just said. The Switch has sold 36.87. The Xbox One, right above it, has sold 41 million, roughly, give or take. And the PS4 has sold 100 million, more than doubling these consoles. I mean, initial thoughts, Andrew.
I mean, it's crazy to see it doing that kind of numbers, and the only console higher than that would be the PlayStation 2. But the PlayStation 2 also the PlayStation 2 went on for years, and in other countries too, people still buy the PS2 because it's cheaper and they don't have all those crazy taxes.
Let me interject real quick because I didn't give the number. So 15 and 14 were Switch and Xbox One. Coming in at number 6 is the PS4 with its 100 million. Okay, keep going.
Yeah, and so PS2 is number 1, and that's just it was the cheapest DVD player. Yeah. That went on for years. It's at 150 million.
So let me break down the top 5. Let me break down everything that's above the PS4. So PS4 is at 100 million. The Wii, the original Wii, sits at 101.63.
I think it'll pass that.
Oh yeah, it's definitely gonna pass that, especially because next gen's not till next year. So this holiday they're gonna have a gangbuster sale that at least puts them over that.
They would have to have a huge sale because I'm sure sales are slowing down right now.
Yeah,
there's a new console on the horizon. Why would I buy one this year? But hey, if it's that kind of price, why not?
Yeah, or I mean, gamers like us that need to fill a room, why not pick up a PS4 that for probably half the price of its initial launch? So sitting at number 4 is the original PS1 at 102.5 million units, and it's a stone throw away from 5 and 4 in terms of passing.
Yeah, no, I think you could take them both by next year.
So here's where the big challenge, the big hurdle would go is number 3 is the Game Boy, and they partnered that with the Game Boy Color sitting at 118.69. Number 2 is the Nintendo DS at 154.62. And the juggernaut, like Andrew was saying, is the PS2 at almost 160. It's at 159 million units. and because it was a product of its time.
Yeah, that and the cheapest DVD player.
Yeah.
In other countries where taxes are high and stuff like
Yeah,
that,
the
there's still
tariffs and all
people.
that.
Yeah, there's still people in other countries who are buying like Segas and stuff like that to this day because it's a cheap gaming console wherever they live.
So it's crazy because we got to watch all this shit happen from when we were little all the way up until now. So I love watching numbers just kind of get bigger, and then it just shows how big this gaming community is. But I do need to say, we are starting to ask you guys for more questions. We're asking you guys to be part of this show. So we actually did have a question from a fan named Sean Love, who's asking, what does this mean for the industry with the Xbox selling less than half of what Sony just did with its 100 million? Now, before we answer, that is a real question because, like we just said, the top 15, Switch and Xbox are 15, 14, and PlayStation 4 is all the way up to number 6. So are we just seeing a loss in Xbox fans, or did Sony do such a great job this generation that, everything earned is warranted?
I'll say what it does for the industry. I'll answer that question first. Yeah. Is that everyone who thinks, the gaming's dying out, this and that, that's not the case at all. Gaming's doing better than ever. It's a huger medium than ever. That's why it's being picked up as movies now. It seems like every time you turn around, there's a movie, a Netflix show, something like that. So gaming is definitely thriving. But two, just because Microsoft came in second and they did get their ass handed to them.
They're going to be third, though, soon.
Yeah, they're definitely going to be third. But it doesn't mean that their console sold poorly, though. What's to sneeze at for, let's say they 60 million, 40 million, whatever. That's still a ton of consoles. That's a lot of hardware sold. Just because it's not a freak accident like, the PlayStation 4 is, the PlayStation 3 didn't sell like that, the Xbox 360 didn't sell like that, and the 360 trounced the PS3 almost all. The PlayStation
I think the 360 came in at like 11-ish.
I don't think the PlayStation 3 beat the 360 until like the final year before the consoles went out.
The end of its
so
life.
It's the reason, the biggest reason has definitely just been the messaging. There's also lots of really good exclusives on PlayStation that Xbox does not have. They weren't mired down by terrible Don Matrick marketing. Terrible! I had to say it 3 times because it was so bad. Mm-hmm. I remember watching that conference and I was like, God, this sucks. Just Don Matrick out there. If you don't want to be on the internet, we have a console for you. It's called the 360.
That was a thing.
And so they started off hot with we're gamers instead of the media, and they took the ball and they just ran with it. There was no catching up.
To answer Sean Love's question is what it's gonna meant for the industry is you just saw Xbox, Microsoft, take it on the nose that they are losing, and look what we've seen since then.
Yes.
They've generated the Game Pass, which is something that was unforeseen. And if you were to ask me right now, if I was a kid that had no fucking console, no nothing, and you said, what do you want? Do you want the PS4 with God of War and Spider-Man and Horizon, 3 games? Or do you want the Xbox One with the Game Pass where you can literally play 100-something games and you'll never beat them all and they add more and more and more every month? I'd pick the Xbox One. And innovation is what happened out of the Xbox losing. We're now seeing them doing a lot of cross-pollination with the Nintendo Switch, which never would have happened if they were number 1. This never would have happened, right? It took them looking at being number 3, going, guys, well, let's become a brand, right? Microsoft and Xbox are becoming a brand more than just a console.
And that's more what I'm excited for too. I was just thinking that
they have all their PC. The Game Pass is now on PC.
So what is next generation going to entail? Like, what's going to be their big thing? We got our ass kicked. We're going to come out guns a-blazing. They already came out with all these really great things out of desperation.
And great things out of desperation, right?
They single-handedly brought back backwards compatibility all the way to the original
Good call. Duke
Xbox. Call. So, if you could bring back something like that, all these great ideas, what can you do moving forward? And that's going to be the big thing.
Because if you're looking at even like Virtual Console with Nintendo, you're having a hard time putting these old 8-bit games on there. Sony can't even, I don't think, read 90% of their PS3 library or 80%, something's crazy. Microsoft, took this and ran with it. You can get Xbox games, 360 games, Xbox One games. So, Sean, answer your question. What it means for the industry is it means growth. It means now when you buy a PS5, it is now completely backwards compatible because it took a page out of Xbox's book that we might not have won, but we now know what the fans want. And
moving forward.
And I think it sucks that Xbox, isn't making as much as they are. Which Andrew said, they're still impressive numbers. You got to remember, 40 million units is still great.
40 million unknown units. I'm sure it's
units,
higher.
I'm sure it is too. But Sony's 100 is a freak. It's just a freak. So
if it's the same thing next time around, we'll see. We'll see if that's what really happens, and that will kind of be the big thing. Okay, well, there was another one-off, but then again, they also had the other number one selling console. So
yeah, exactly. So Sony knows what they're doing, and we still have almost a year until the next gen officially launches. So with the Switch LITE that's coming around the corner, we're going to see Switch sales go up, and I guarantee, like Andrew's saying, the undocumented numbers, I'm guarantee you the Game Pass has sold units since it's been out.
I would have to imagine so. I mean, why not? You get a shit ton of games for a very little price.
Very little price. And it melds over with PC. So, with that being said, I think we're done with our main two stories, Andrew.
Pretty much. I'm ready to riff and raff if you are.
Oh, well, let's get into some riffing and raffing. And Andrew, lead us off.
Okay. I will start first with a riff. Something else that was supposed to be we were maybe kind of talking about it for news, but we didn't. It's also going to be a question. Someone wrote in, I had it on my list and kind of bumped it down as far as news to riff. And Connor McGregor Malone wrote us and said...
Connor McGregor Malone strike. Hey, I'm wearing the green for you, brother, so this one's for you.
He wrote us regarding EA recently. Andrew Wilson just did a Q&A with investors. And when asked, why aren't your games on the Switch, he pretty much just blew it off as saying, oh, well, the audience isn't there. So,
and then Connor's asking our thoughts on it.
Our thoughts on his response, and what do we think the real reason is why EA, out of all people's games, aren't on the Switch?
Yeah, dynamite question, Connor, because I almost... Because I heard it, I read it, and I was like, I didn't really think too much of it. And then when you were asking, hey, like, what do you guys thought? Like, why is this happening? I went back and I was just watching a couple more videos. I was like, well, this is odd. So why don't you start it off, and I'll lead into my opinions.
As far as I think it's just a bullshit answer. I think it's stupid, especially since they can easily put out games. The audience could be there. You don't know unless you try. But when you're putting out bullshit that doesn't run good, like FIFA 19, of course the game didn't sell well on the Switch because the game doesn't run well on the Switch. So it's not going to do gangbusters. But I can't think of a more perfect, not platform, but like a handheld game to be walking around with and playing any sort of sports game. FIFA, Madden, hockey, any of those games. Why would I not want to play them? Even
the
some of
it's a pick up and go game. I mean,
even some of their other games like Tangled, where you're just running some of the little more not indie but indie styled games. Why not put that on there? That's perfect. That is a place where it belongs. As far as why I think they're not doing it, one I think is because Nintendo until recently has always been that company that didn't have third support Switch.
Didn't need it,
but Ubisoft is killing it right now. They're putting all their stuff on it.
Bethesda
too. Everyone's kind of finally coming around. Nintendo's finally saying like, hey, get our stuff over here.
Yeah.
Actively trying for it. So it might be that. But also too, I think it might just be some of the engine problems because a big engine for EA is Frostbite, and Frostbite is notorious for running like shit and having a lot of problems, and they're just not abandoning this engine. They're not even working on something new. They just upgraded the Frostbite, and it's like the Frostbite 2.0, which it's still just, it looks good, and there's games where it does play well, but there's lots of times where it causes issues. There's lots of things that look like shit, and I think that because they're so developed into that maybe that might be part of an issue. Like, it's not the Switch isn't good enough, but when you have some, dog shit fucking
garbage ass game. So, I mean, so you read this guy's comments, and essentially what he's saying is that, based on, and here's what I don't like. He goes, based on heavy data that we've collected, most people who own a Switch have an Xbox or have a PS4.
And would rather play their games there.
Yeah, his quote goes on to say, based on data that we've collected, most people would rather play our bigger games on their main console system. So we're not going to go out of our way to put more games on the Switch. Now, if anyone has done the number crunching and looked at what the Switch actually offers in terms of EA games on it, it's 4 games. It's FIFA, like what, 15, 16 or something stupid. Unravel, which is I don't know if it's Unravel 1 or 2, which is a great game. And I'm forgetting the 4th one. But it's 4 games. It's 4 games that EA has on Switch to base this whole... We have data showing that people that play these games want to go do that. So I don't like that comment. That makes no sense because how much data can you actually have if it's running on 4 games?
Especially when coming just off of our last report right now that there might be more people who own Switches soon than Xbox One. Yeah,
okay. That brings me to my other point is if you're looking at games that run off Nintendo, I mean, do it on your prior math. Everybody that owns an Xbox or a PS4 has a Nintendo device. So why are you missing out on money? The only comment I can say that may play devil's advocate to defend them is, so when they make their games, right, they got to do it on PC, PS4, Xbox. It has to run at a certain frame rate, so that way they're running one game. They'd have to scale down, right, when it comes to going to the Nintendo Switch, which costs money when you need to make 2 models of your game that run on 2 different formats. The only thing I'd have to know to give a definitive answer is that cost more than what Sims alone is going to make on Nintendo Switch? I can't believe that it is.
I want to know what that data is too, because
I was trying to look for it and I can't find it.
Xbox, I'm more likely to play an EA game because I have the Game Pass and a majority of them are free.
Right.
So I don't have to pay for that game. The Switch doesn't have EA access. So based off this data, are you going off of how many people are actually buying your game?
Yeah.
That's another question too, is, I can go download Madden and play it right now for free, but I might play it for a few hours. Does that count as a purchase? Does that count as their analytics? Because I'm not the biggest Madden player in the world, but I would love to be able to just go sit down and, do whatever on a little screen on
why not?
Thing in front of me. Yeah.
Well, because I'm curious because, okay, so let's say you port over 13 games. I want to know what that number is versus the buying capability of putting Sims on there, putting Plants vs. Zombies on there, putting Garden Warfare
there's
on there,
there's all these games that would be perfect
360
on there.
ports of Crysis on there.
I can't think
not
of
Crysis, Dead Space. You know what I mean? Like, how are you? I can't think wrap around my head how you're getting away with it. Like, what? That's your answer? Is nobody wants to play them on the Switch? It's like.
That's what I forgot to say. I can't think of a better game that's built for the Switch than like The Sims.
The Sims. Okay, the first time I've never been have you ever been a PC gamer? A big
No.
PC gamer. I used to have one. I played a little Diablo on it. Loved it. PC crashed. Never played it again. The first time I ever played Sims was when Nick used to live with me and he had a GameCube and we played Sims 4.
That was the first one I played. Yeah.
So my introduction to Sims
was on a Nintendo console.
Device. So
same.
The fact that what was yours?
No, the same one.
Same thing?
Yeah, the same one. I haven't played The Sims except for that one.
So my argument has to be you can't tell me that porting over 5 more games is going to cost more than what The Sims alone is going to net you in 5 years plus expansions. And number 2 is like, what is your like? That doesn't make any sense.
Let alone sometimes you just got to bite the bullet for good clout,
Well, some of the things I was reading is that do they have beef with Nintendo? Does EA have a salty standing with Nintendo?
I don't know so much that it's that, but it's Nintendo's never really had third-party support really until the Switch.
And like Andrew was saying earlier, if these other guys are coming out of the woodworks to put it on the Switch, like you have The Witcher 3, you have from
Assassin's Creed.
Are coming on. They're like, you're telling me The Sims is
The Sims can't run? Yeah, that's not going to sell. Yeah.
Because how close is it to like a game like what were we watching? Animal
Crossing. Yeah.
I was gonna say Animal Farm. Animal Crossing. Yeah. I mean, it can't be that much harder to run that game on the Switch. And I personally, if I was ever to play The Sims, it would be on my Switch.
Capcom, who was a company who was doing dog shit for a while and now has turned their entire life around and is doing absolutely amazing, brings the Resident Evils to the Switch.
And for another company that's getting public ridicule almost every other day, why wouldn't EA try to appease fans by putting more games, or not even all your games? 6?
I can't imagine
6
it would
more
cost
games that are better than FIFA, whatever.
I just don't think it would break the bank to bring The Sims, a game that sells gangbusters on names alone, just to the Switch and see how it does.
You guys are
Test the waters.
You guys are making the money on the microtransactions.
Yeah,
you might as well kick us a favor.
No, they're surprise, whatever they say. I forget what it is.
Fun and surprise
add-ons or something.
So Connor, thank you for that because you just got us heated. And because the more
you
I
got
think
another
about
riff?
Yeah, let me riff on mine. Let me flip over my notes. So I do want to bring up something just because it kind of touches on the PS4 hitting as the best-selling console in this generation. Is the U.S. just had a pretty much a sales report, so just U.S. sales that showed that the best superhero game selling of all time is Marvel Spider-Man.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
Exclusively on the PS4. So I wanted to say it earlier, but I was going to save it for the riff. Is I can't help but wonder, because I mean, think about that. Because number 2 and number 3 are Arkham City and Arkham Knight, which are cross-platform.
Yeah.
So games that went from 360 to Xbox One to PS3 to PS4, right? All 4 of those. Spider-Man sold more than that alone on one system, and like not by a little, by a lot. Just the U.S., right? We're not counting Japan or Europe or anything like that. And I thought that was very impressive because the game, I think, earns that right. I think it did very, very well.
Yeah, it's crazy to see something do that well, especially when those Arkham games are considered pinnacle.
Yeah, those games, when Arkham came out,
there's nothing like it.
Fight me, because there's nobody in the world that would say that there's a better game, there's a better superhero game than Arkham Asylum when that game came out.
And all 3 of the 3 catches some shit, but the Arkham series as a whole is what brought superhero games back. There's a general conversation.
You wouldn't have Marvel Spider-Man if Arkham Asylum or the Arkham trilogy
didn't do well. Yeah,
never existed. But one fun note is that the fourth one in that list is Lego Batman. So I almost forget that Lego games count as superhero games. But if you're gonna count them as superhero games,
I didn't know they did. That's pretty funny.
The Lego games are doing quite well. So yeah, I just want to give a shout out because I beat Spider-Man, beat it with all the DLC. I'm waiting for Andrew to come over, pop it on the PS4, and give it a go. So what's ripping on your mind, sir?
Next one I have, Microsoft just paid Ninja. Do you know who that is? Are you familiar?
Yes, go on.
He's a big Twitch streamer.
Yeah, he's leaving it now to go to Mixer.
Yes. Exclusively.
Okay.
Exclusively to Mixer.
Dude,
they paid him. Some of the rumors on the numbers are like 50 million.
Mixer's paying, because right after that, Mixer became the number 1 free downloaded app, if I'm not mistaken, after he did this whole switch.
Yeah. A lot of people are calling him a sellout, whatever, but...
Who gives a...
Yeah, no,
Who gives a fuck?
I just don't know where...
Twitchers,
I don't know where the audience... I guess it's a good move on Microsoft, because that dude makes money hand over fucking fist. Yeah. He has the biggest streams all the time. So, for them to put out that... I'm sure it cost a shit ton of money. Definitely more than $1 million. Just to say, hey, don't play on this. Come play on ours exclusively. And him to be like, sure, I'll cut out whatever this version of my audience is and just go do it over there.
How funny would it be if gaming systems now move, instead of doing mascots like Sonic the Hedgehog or Mario, are based on what Twitch owners they have exclusively to it. And Ninja is now Microsoft's main Twitch. Because, yeah, he had these... Manju's right. He had these numbers that were stupid. And so I was reading...
Yeah, I want to say he had like the highest stream because it was with Drake or whatever.
Whatever it was. But whatever his number was, the number 2 guy... Oh, fuck. I just had his name and I forget. He beat him by more than double, right? So the next biggest Twitcher was almost kind of like this whole Sony PlayStation 4 versus Xbox. 100 million units, 41, cut him in half. He's still higher than number 2. So you know he got paid fat.
Yeah, it's disgusting amount of
so what did he? If I'm remembering right, he did Call of Duty and he did, but Fortnite.
Fortnite, I think, is his big one, bread and butter. Yeah.
So I've been hearing a lot of people have just been unsubscribing on Twitch and just giving him shit and giving him the business.
It is what it is. I mean, I'm sure for him, maybe it was a good business move.
Oh, I mean, take care of yourself. It's the Conor McGregor move.
Yeah.
You take the paycheck, you get paid.
You gotta look out for number 1.
Yeah, and then you live the rest of your life, laughing at 10 years later when you're like, oh yeah, these guys used to talk shit about me, but I'm living fat.
Yeah,
so,
I sell out, but I also retired
and he's
fucking 22.
How old is he? He's got to be in his 20s still, late 20s.
If that,
if you're still rocking blue hair, you're in your 20s, unless you're a woman. No.
I don't know.
Too soon? We can talk about that. No? Okay.
Your riff.
My next riff is that, and I caught this on like a side note. So Rainbow Six Siege, and correct me if I'm wrong, is the first game to change achievements trophies.
I forgot all about that.
And flat out change the name of them.
Yes.
And then instead of changing what you did to get them, are replacing it with a new... detail of what you had to do, But if you got this achievement once upon a time, it fits in the matrix to still get it. So you still have it on your thing, but it says something else.
Yeah, so however it works, let's say it's slot 5 out of 10. Let's say it was kill 1 enemy and don't die for the rest of the round. The new achievement, slot 5 out of whatever, is kill 10 enemies without dying. If you had the original one, when it came out, you instantly unlock whatever the new one is. It doesn't give you double points. It just replaces that one is what it is. So I haven't seen anyone revamp their online achievements. I thought that was absolutely crazy.
Yeah, it was nuts because what they were saying was they kind of wanted to redo it to focus on their online fan
multiplayer because that's what they're all about. Yeah.
Out of the handful of, let's say, 10 achievements or trophies they had with campaign, they're like, well, no one's playing this. They're Rainbow Six fans or online Siege fans. Let's just tweak them so these guys can get them without changing anything for the campaign players that got them. Interesting.
Yeah,
and if this is something that is moving forward, it's a very touchy subject because metagamers are big on their trophies / achievements, and to change something to give you an achievement for something that wasn't quite necessarily what you did,
or maybe not as hard,
or a different name of something. So, because I don't care if they change their name, right? If you want to change an achievement that's called one thing from another, what's it care as long as it net me the points? But you put in work. I mean, there's the definition of grinding in games is to grind and get something, and a lot of times for us playing as long as we do, it's an achievement most of the time. So,
right.
I mean, where do you think they go? Is it based on? Can only a few games do this, or does every game have the option to do this?
I just hope nobody else really does it. I don't see the point in it. I mean, it is what it is when it launches, and I don't think
I can see it being a big multiplayer thing, like Gears of War.
But how many people that were playing multiplayer are like, oh, you know what? Now that they changed the achievements, I'm going to go after them. If they weren't getting them before, they were putting the hours in the game.
If you do like a Watch Mojo list of the top 15 hardest achievements to ever get,
some of them are online,
Some of them are gone. You can't get those anymore. So why not change those into it obtainable? And that's the only way I looked at it that kind of rationalized. I was like, well, I guess you get rid of the ones that no one can ever get.
Yeah, but who's going back and playing Ghost Recon 2?
Who knows? But, I mean, I didn't know they could do this. I didn't know you could go back and reformat
I didn't know that was a thing. That's pretty cool.
So, that's interesting. I'm on the riff on that. So, that's that. What do you got?
Oh, I got nothing else. I'm ready for whatever's next. Ooh. Questions? I think we had some.
Yeah, we actually had a couple questions from the audience. So again, guys, we've already got Sean Love had a question coming in. We've got Connor McGregor Malone had a question. But we're getting some other questions. And the first one comes from Mylito86. So I kind of like this question because me and you both recently beat Final Fantasy VII. He asks, who is in your party when you play the game, your favorite 3? And then bonus question is, who would be your favorite summon?
I went when I did it was Cloud, Tifa, and whoever's the third person could always switch out. And I just happened to finish with Barrett. Now, third person I could take or leave anybody. Barrett filled my third.
Okay. I would say I think I dropped Barrett the moment I was done with all of his achievements. I was always a Red 13 is always my guy.
I hate Red 13 the most.
Yeah, but remember when you were playing with him, you were like, oh yeah, he actually does really, really well. And I liked Sid Highwind is probably my...
Sid would be my next replacement if I had to choose to drop anybody. Yeah. As far as summon-wise goes, I will take Chocomog, the very first one you get. Not just Chocomog.
Is that fat one?
The fat one that falls on you that I had to look it up just to make sure I wasn't thinking of the wrong thing, because a lot of people haven't seen it, because how often do you use that summon? It's actually only got a 1 in 16 chance of showing up, so you might not have even seen it playing, but if you use that first summon Chocomog, there is a time where a fat one will just fall out of the sky and land on the enemies and kill them.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, the skinny one is the one that races in.
Yeah,
and
the
other
skinny one races in, but
it.
you have a 1 in 16 chance of the fat one falling and just crushing your enemies to death. So that one always just made me laugh because I caught it by surprise, and it's something that I just never realized wasn't like a huge thing. Everyone knew about it.
Yeah, actually, I didn't know about that till right now. I always liked Leviathan, and
looks good.
Yeah, I liked it because it's one of the ones there's a couple ones you can miss. But it's one of the ones you had to actively go and do Yuffie's...
Wu-Tai quest?
Yeah, you had to finish all her side quests to actually get it. And then when you got it, I thought it was visually beautiful to watch.
Yeah, that one's a good one.
Yeah, I mean, because there's always, you could say Knights of the Round or like, the original like Ifrit and Sheba, but I always was a fan of Leviathan, and the way it performed, I always thought it looked really good. So, Melito, if you're watching this, then put yours, because I don't know if you ever answered that question yourself.
No, you didn't.
So.
Yeah, I would like to know.
So we have one last question, and this comes from a very close fan of the show, Christian Vargas.
Maybe an acquaintance.
A close acquaintance, a buddy or two. He asks, what game did you always think that you loved and actually ended up hating?
I don't know the context of this question, but the first thing that pops into mind is because the other day, Craig's been talking about Guitar Hero. I've been talking for months and months about Guitar Hero. About, oh man, I love that game. It was great. It was amazing. Going back and playing it now, I hate it. I was like, just because I'm not good, but I'm like, this just isn't really fun anymore. And so I thought I loved that game, and then I literally played it like 2 weeks ago, and I was like, this sucks, and I hate it.
Was it because it was on the 360?
No, I don't know. I just didn't think it was fun. I was like, I remember this being a lot better, and it's not just because I'm not as good. I'm not as good as it now, but I'm just like, I don't know. I just don't get it. This isn't fun anymore.
That's funny. I didn't even think that's what you were going to say. The top of the mind one that comes to me is Battletoads. I feel like everybody, when you hear the music,
rose-tinted glasses,
loves it, loves the characters, loves playing the first 2 levels that you can actually play.
Yeah, but once you hit that spike,
I don't think I've ever gotten past the fucking motorcycle level.
No, hell
ever.
no. Like,
ever.
Maybe once, and then you die and have to do it all over.
The whole fucking thing. And then the cool thing was is you could play it with 2 players. So like when me and Gino played it, it's even harder to do it with 2 players, because if one person gets fucking splatted, you're both done.
That is a game that I don't understand, that stands the test of time. Is like, oh dude, we love these characters, bring them back.
And they brought them back.
But the games are fucking hard as shit.
Yeah.
And not fun.
The more that I look back at that, I'm like, you know what? I love that. I loved that game. I got a nice Battletoads shirt, but I'm thinking, I'm like, dude, I don't know what happens past that level. Never been there. So, Christian Vargas, that is your answer.
Yeah, that was actually a good question.
Add yours. I don't know if you ever said what your
and not Kingdom Hearts 3.
He didn't like it to begin with. He a hater.
I started liking it and then hated it. I was like, oh.
See, that's what I almost thought you were going to lean towards. And
I really peaked on it like once I hit Tangled's World, and then after that I was like, this game's dog shit.
Nice. Are we pushing maximum?
Oh, yeah. Well, due to time, we're going to drop the highs and lows. Kind of didn't really have any this week, unless you got a quick shotgunner.
No lows. The highs were I beat Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3. If you guys have a Nintendo Switch, go play it. And Fire Emblem, I talked about it a couple last show or two. Beat that. Ended up liking it a lot more than I thought I did. The strategy got really interesting, and I had a really actually fun time playing it. So
same, no lows. Started Doom 2016.
Oh, I saw you playing.
Started off not caring for it, and it took like 2 levels, and I'm actually really enjoying it now. So I guess that would be the highest. I really enjoy it. It's a fun game.
Nice. So we got to play a couple games. Got to beat a couple games. So those are the high and low, guys. This episode ran just to the pristine amount of time, guys. So let's get into the contest. So the infamous contest, guys. This is entry 4, yes?
Yeah, I think so.
The way the contest works, guys, is we are giving away a Nintendo Switch LITE. Now, the way you are able to get your hands on that is in the comments. Right down below, you can leave a comment, but please specify that you put in Nintendo Switch LITE. Give the video a like and be a subscriber. That will net you 1 entry.
Hashtag Switch LITE does make it easier.
It does. It makes it infinitely easier. So that will get you 1 entry into it. Now, if you guys want to go back 3 episodes and comment, like, and be a subscriber, that'll net you earlier entries into it. And then we have episodes all the way to the 7th of... Is it September?
Yeah, so I believe by the time we're done with this, you should have 10 entries into the contest. So just because you do it for 1 video doesn't mean you should do it for others, because we pick a winner from each video, and then we pick a winner out of those 10.
Yeah, so it's kind of like a sub-qualifier that nets you into actually being the winner. So you got a lot of chances to win, so make sure you guys like,
don't cheat yourself.
Subscribe. So with that being said, guys, if you want to write us on Twitter, write us anything you want at LastCallProductionz. If you want to follow us on Instagram, do that at LastCallProductionz with a Z. If you want to send us an email, write us something, submit a question, do that at LastCallProductionz@gmail.com, or feel free, like the rest of these guys, to just leave it in the comments. We like to interact with you guys. We will dig through that. We will answer you back, and we will probably answer your next question on next week's episode. So, Andrew, I had a lot of fun. Any closing notes you want to put on that?
Yeah, this final cheers goes out to whoever gave us our very first dislike.
Oh,
after
after
15
bro.
episodes, we finally got one.
Dude, we were batting 1,000, and we were doing fantastic. So, until next time, guys, my name is Craig Prowse from Andrew Montemayor. Cheers.
The movie's mediocre. You know, people are dying, whatever. But what's really cool about the ending, right? So the whole time you're watching the movie, you're like, oh man, their fashion's kind of weird or whatever. Like, it's kind of
Their fashion?
Yeah, it's kind of weird.
Okay.
You're thinking about it, but then again, you don't think about it. You're like, oh, it's Final Destination. It's like their aesthetic. So the whole movie circles around. There's like 4 or 5 people left that actually survive. They figure out this plan. I forget how it is that they stop it. Yeah, I forget what it. You know, there's in every movie there's a way that they can stop it. I forget what it is that they can.
Is Death the black guy? Isn't it the black guy from like the Candyman? Isn't he?
They say he's like the personification of it.
But that's the character, right?
Yeah.
Because I forget his name. He's from like Man from Earth and stuff like that. I think that was him. Yeah.
Yeah. So, anyways, the ending of this movie, the dude goes to sit down and they're like on a plane. And then he hears fighting, and he turns around, and it's the beginning from number 1.
Oh.
So that's what, like, the movie's kind of mediocre, but as soon as that hit, I was like, no fucking way, that was so cool. Like,
that's cool.
It made a bad movie good, and I was like, holy fuck, that's badass.
Now, bad